Let's end strong with a dissertation and recap on the AEW Dynamite program from February 16th. There was a stinky program on Monday, a stinky program on Tuesday, and here comes, guess what? A fairly stinky program on Wednesday. There was some redeeming factors to this. It was better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, as Mama Cornette used to say. But then what isn't, when you think about it? The program started off differently. No Mussolini! Just Punk sitting cross-legged in the ring. What they used to call it Indian style when we were in grade school. Everybody sit around the desk Indian style. We're going to have cookies.
They don't call it that anymore. Now it's,
what style is it now? Doggy style?
Crisscross applesauce.
Crisscross applesauce.
Because of the way your legs crisscross.
Yeah, but where does the applesauce come from?
It just makes it all rhyme.
I think in that case, the child may need to be sent home if he's producing applesauce by crisscrossing his legs. Possibly a medical fucking issue there. I don't know, though. Who am I to decide? I'm not a pediatrician. Start one of these fine Sprite Zeros.
If it was Dr. Pepper, you'd be a pediatrician.
So anyway, Punk started this show out. He looks directly into the camera. He speaks to the people. He sounds like it's coming off the top of his head. It's conversational. Gets to the point. He's talking about old shitty little Max from shitty little Long Island. Thought you might get offended there.
He's just doing a promo. He doesn't mean it.
Well, he does, but nevertheless. It's a rematch is what he's talking about. He wants that rematch with MJF. Wouldn't you know who won the pony and when this rematch is going to come up? March 6th at the Revolution pay-per-view. Well, that is convenient. And he was sitting there with a little gift box in front of him. And he again, a good promo. And then he unwraps the gift box because he's been saying that MJF, and this is this tied together perfectly. He's been saying that, or MJF has been saying that he's better than Brett in Calgary, better than Punk in Chicago, better than Piper in Portland. So Punk unwraps the gift box that's sitting there in front of him and pulls out a dog collar and chain. Okay, you want to be better than Piper in Portland? Well, and I mean, he didn't even need to explain it for this crowd because they're the smartest of the smart. And I jotted down, hopefully history will be recounted. And then, yes, Tony Schiavone started to, that reminds me of Piper and Valentine. And then gave no details whatsoever. But later on in the program, they covered it a little bit with the announcers talking about it. But Greg Valentine, I would imagine, is available.
Yeah, remember he was there when they had the last dog collar match, wasn't he?
Oh, that's right, he was. So instead of bringing him to sit at ringside and look like a fucking bump on a log, why don't they just take a camera and let him do a couple minutes talking about how that, they were never the same after he and Piper and, Piper's eardrum and it was so dangerous and blah, blah, blah. They can't show the footage. That's owned under the auspices of the WWE now. But for the sake of people who either weren't born or haven't seen the match from 1983. 80? I was going to say 82, 83. They haven't seen the match 40 years ago. Just tell people. Fill them in. But anyway, so he calls MJF out to the stage to answer. And when MJF comes out there, Punk shows him the picture of a 14-year-old or 12-year-old, whatever age he was then, meeting a 14-year-old MJF meeting CM Punk, which was a great touch. It's a legitimate picture. And the people start chanting Punk, and MJF goes to fire back at him and is rattled and can't think of anything to say. For the first time in history, MJF can't speak and throws the microphone down and leaves. And now we get like Mussolini with extra chain. But that was a good segment. It didn't go too long. It was good at this point for MJF to be speechless because he never has been. Punk set the fucking stipulation up, and it makes sense. You understand where it came from. Not like a Texas death match that's not really a Texas death match to start a rivalry that's not really a rivalry for a world title from a champion that's not really a champion, blah, blah, blah. This worked. It made sense. Now we want to see Punk and MJF dog collar match. And he, where he's going to leave MJF's blood all over the ring on the pay-per-view. It's wrestling. Imagine that. What'd you think?
Thought it was good. Thought it was really good. Maybe a little too long, especially considering how many other long promo segments would end up happening on this show, including right after this. I liked it. I'm intrigued by, we've never seen MJF just walk away. What's the reaction going to be next week? They're running out of time. Not running out of time, but there's only a few more episodes before the pay-per-view. There's going to be some sort of reaction.
He's got to get some heat.
Yeah, they're not going to just leave it at that. So this has been the one feud that week to week has made sense since the beginning. So they're going to do something next week. I'm intrigued to see what it is. And I wasn't sure he had a gift box. You said he had a gift box. I was looking at it like, what is that?
It looked like a fucking birthday present to me.
I don't know. I guess I didn't see it that way. I thought he was maybe hiding something he was looking at.
They got these new things called a high-def television.
Oh, shush. I saw what it was. I didn't recognize
rabbit ears. It was the picture was snowy because you had to turn the fucking antenna.
If I could find someone to fix tube TVs, I'd be in heaven right now because I got some good stuff here. But anyway, my point was going to be, there were a few points where, because it went a while and he was talking more than yelling a promo, you did hear some fans acting up in the background, but then he would pull them back in. And when he finally pulled out that dog collar and you heard the crowd reaction, and then just the little shit he was doing, like putting it in his own mouth to show what's going to happen. I thought it was really strong, and I am looking forward to this match. AEW has done a rematch that I want to see. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this dog collar match, because I don't think these two guys are going to let us down. I think it means something to them, too.
Yeah, and it's not going to be ridiculous, diamond cutters off the top of the ladder with the dog collar. It's going to be shit that makes sense, one would imagine. I will say you did mention that this was long for a talking segment with so much other talking on the show. That's why they should have cut down some of the other talking, because none of it was as important as this.
I agree.
So Tony Schiavone quickly in the back with Christian Cage, Jungle Boy, and Dino Douche. The information they imparted to us in like a 1-minute backstage pre-tape was that there will be a triple threat tag team title match at the pay-per-view where two teams are challenging Jungle Boy and Dino. But next week, there's going to be a tag team battle royal on TV to see who, I guess, those two teams are. And in 2 weeks, there's going to be some other kind of battle royal on TV to determine something else. Is that what you remember?
You got more out of that than I did, because at this point, all three of those guys, every time they talk, it's like Charlie Brown's teachers talking. I just don't hear anything.
Peanuts parents.
I have no idea what they're involved with or what they're doing, and I don't really care.
There's going to be battle royals next 2 weeks on TV and a multi-team tag team title match on the pay-per-view. So this is going to be a goddamn clusterfuck. But then, Bryan Danielson versus Lee Moriarty. I said, at least Bryan Danielson is back. And there was a sign in the crowd, Bryan Danielson dies at the end of, or dies. Bryan Danielson cries at the end of Old Yeller, which I thought was funny. Again, all of the mistakes that everybody else has made, Danielson doesn't make them. Every time that a major star comes in this company and is put with a underneath guy, and that's no disrespect to Lee Moriarty. He's a bit player. He's a backup singer, whatever. He's a bench warmer, whatever genre of sports or entertainment that you want to. He's brand new and he ain't been far, and he's got farther to go than he has behind him. So right now, he's an underneath guy. All of the marks that come in here, the indie wrestlers, they have a Starrcade main event match with undercard guys and barely eke out a win and think they've done something for somebody. And they haven't, because instead of elevating the guy that they're working with, they've made it so preposterous that everybody said, well, so-and-so, that star wasn't as good as I thought he was because he can't even beat old so-and-so there. They bring themselves down. They don't elevate the other guy. Danielson elevated Lee Moriarty by completely out-wrestling him and beating him. But because he made him look better than he ever has and gave him enough, but not too much, chances, it worked. Danielson makes it look effortless. He out-wrestles the guy. He slaps the shit out of him. Then he lets him shine. But Danielson stays in control. He's in control when they go to the break. He's in control when they come back. That now he lets Moriarty do a bunch more shit. But it's not about the length that everybody says, well, so-and-so shouldn't have gone that long. Here was an example. Danielson went long with Moriarty, but it was good because he knew what he was doing. It's taking your time and getting time. It can be a 15-minute match without being competitive, without being that WrestleMania main event. It can be 15 minutes because the star is cocky and toying with the guy, and that kills a little time and gets a little heat on the star, but then the fucking underneath babyface can fire up just enough that the people stay with it. But when Danielson won this, he didn't win by the skin of his teeth after this match. He made the guy look better than he ever has without bumping for him like a Super Bowl. Got the fans to chant, "This is awesome," for some wrestling maneuvers and mat wrestling. And then, Moriarty is green. He did a nice belly to back. He fired up. His strikes are not that great. He needs to work on those, but he fought to get a 2 count on Danielson, and finally he did. And then Moriarty got a crossface, but Danielson suplexed out because he's a better wrestler. This was a clinic by Bryan Danielson in how to work a good match with an underneath guy to bring him up but not be ridiculous. And that's what he did. And then Danielson stomped the shit out of him and put a leg triangle on him and choked him out while doing a double bicep pose. What a fucking heel. Perfect. Again, Brian, I say,
you can't take your eyes off him in the ring. He's so good right now. He's so good.
And that's Lawler, when he was a heel, had that. Of the great heels have that you pay attention to them even when the other guy is doing his shit, even when the other guy's in control momentarily. Whatever, you're always paying attention to the star of that match, and that's Bryan Danielson. And then he starts doing a promo, and he's barely out of breath. And I love the quote, "I don't trust the American public with anything," when he'd asked if they wanted to see him and Moxley team up. But this is where I don't know whether to be downfallen, crestfallen, downtrodden, depressed, or what's going to go on here. But he's still asking Moxley to team up with him to teach the young guys about violence. He wants an answer. Moxley comes in. I've heard Wild Thing now, so I fast forwarded 5 minutes to get him to the fucking ring. And watching him sway and swerve and stagger gives me nausea in the ring. He did mention Tracy Smothers, Moxley did. But, it was a promo. He recounted his first indie match with Bryan Danielson 20 years ago where he lost. And then since then, he's never beaten Bryan Danielson. And he wants to, but Danielson wants to join him, not fight him. And Moxley says, all the arms we could snap, the skulls we could cave in, etc. You don't believe it from this guy that looks like somebody that hangs out on the back porch in fucking Newport, Kentucky. Which is a suburb of Cincinnati, by the way, for those who think I don't know where Moxley's fucking hometown is. This took quite a while. I will go along with you here. This took a while. And finally, Moxley's trying to figure out, did Danielson ask for this because he doesn't want to fight Moxley? So Moxley won't say yes or no to the deal because he doesn't stand side by side with somebody until he bleeds with them first. And then he leaves all bad and blah. And I would like to see Jon Moxley walk up to any legitimate tough guy, badass in the history of the wrestling business and talk about snapping necks and drinking blood and all that stuff and see which one of them picked their teeth with him first. I love Danielson's match and I like Danielson's interview, and Moxley just irritates me at this point. It's just all this phony violence, like he's so violent. David Schultz was a violent motherfucker and made you believe that. Jon Moxley does not. Your thoughts?
I agree. I'm kind of sick of his promo already. Again, even though he's just been back for a little while, but I'm not feeling it, not digging it, don't like his promo, don't believe any of the words that come out of his mouth. Sometimes it seems like he's just, I don't know. I don't believe anything he's saying.
You know what? This is a weird thing because I always say that the guys need to believe what they're saying before the people will.
I think he believes it.
He believes that he is really this fucking badass, blood-drinking, neck-snapping, fucking mayhem fucking master because he doesn't have a mirror in his home, apparently.
If this doesn't end with him and Danielson actually doing something together, and I can't imagine it would, then I kind of don't like doing this with Danielson. It's a little weird. I'm not looking forward to a Danielson-Moxley match, although it may be the Moxley match I enjoy the most. But I'm guessing, originally before he went to rehab, they were going towards Danielson and Moxley. It looked like Moxley would turn heel. It looks like this is just their new way to get to these two guys wrestling.
Again, like you say, I want to see Danielson. I'd like to see Danielson against the younger guys that he can really help. Moxley is not going to change his style. He's going to do the garbage matches. If he's going to change, he'd have done it long before now. And all it's going to do is inject more of that gaga into Bryan Danielson's impeccable fucking performances. So no, I don't want to see it. They had a Keith Lee package. He's still talking like Fraser Crane. And did you notice, Brian, he comes out and has the greatest match debut of a new star in a new promotion that I've seen in years. You know what match he's in now, don't you? Did you hear it?
Is it a casino ladder match or just a ladder match with no casino involvement?
The multi-man, they have put this fucking giant beast in a multi-man ladder match. Not just a multi-man match where it's always a mess and nobody gets over and it's caca, but a ladder match. When you look at Keith Lee and all the physical attributes that he has, do you see him being one to scamper up a fucking ladder? Or do you see that they have put their new star in a match that will show him at his weakest and worst possible light?
I think it's the exact wrong way to use Keith Lee right now, just coming in there and...
Second match we see he's in a ladder match with 5 other fucking guys or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Who was it? Oh, goddamn. There was some other fat guy they put in a ladder match a long time ago. I remember seeing Tojo Yamamoto versus Dutch Mantel in a ladder match in Louisville, and it was as rotten as you can imagine.
A ladder match?
Yes.
Tojo and Dutch?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
They had one because we were laughing at Tojo, who was 5'4" on a good day, and his legs were 16 inches long, and he was shaped like Buddha, and he was a huge star that had drawn incredible money. And if you picked the one thing in the world that he probably could not do well, that would be climb a fucking ladder. It was brutal. But anyway, then speaking of which, another qualifying match. So they're having these matches with the winners going into the multi-man ladder match. And then the winner of that will win. This fucking confusing dreck. Wardlow is in the qualifier now against Max Caster. And I know it's heel versus heel, but they want the people to like Wardlow, so that's acceptable. But 30 seconds into the match, they go to the break. And when they come back, Wardlow's already going for a fucking power bomb. So who did Caster piss off? All he's doing is getting the shit kicked out of him in singles matches lately.
Yeah, and the Acclaimed is one of those teams I actually do want to see more of. They do show potential. Caster's got size. Bowen's cut. They're athletic. He's clever as hell with his rhymes.
Yeah, well, that's why that Bowens is at ringside and Caster's wrestling singles and he's not winning anything. Because they're a good tag team. If they'd get their shit together. So at one point, they come right back from the break. Wardlow's going for a power bomb. Caster already has the chain. In the commercial break, he's got a chain. And he hits Wardlow with the chain and then drops an elbow off the top rope on him, gets a 2 count. And then Wardlow just gets up and power bombs him several times, 1, 2, 3, and then power bombed Bowens too. So Caster has pissed somebody off. And now 2 of the members of the ladder match are Wardlow and Keith Lee. 2 guys you never want to put in a position where they have to climb ladders with guys 50 and 100 pounds lighter than they are. To put them in their absolute worst light on television. Okay, moving on. Trying to get to the good stuff. May take till next week, folks. Britt Baker is in the back. She wants Mercedes Martinez to finish off Thunder Rosa. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to see Mercedes Martinez against Thunder Rosa. They have 3 girls on their roster that can actually wrestle. Well, 4. Britt Baker ain't bad. Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb, Mercedes Martinez. Did I miss anybody?
I'd have to stop and think about it for a moment before I answer.
Then I didn't miss anybody. The point is, so here's 2 of the girls, the 4 girls they've got can work. They're going to have a match. Okay. Unfortunately, we find out it's a no disqualification match. Lazy booking. Mercedes Martinez not only says, it's time to go murder a bitch. That's a quote. Time to go murder a bitch on their promo. But then after she walks off, Britt Baker brings some fucking gray-haired guy in that I thought it was Tori Wilson's father, Al Wilson, from 15 years ago on WWF. Some gray-haired guy, and asked him what they should do, and he says if Mercedes Martinez loses, finish her. Show her no mercy. Who is this fucking guy? Have you ever seen him before? Is it Britt's father? Is it her dental coach? What the fuck happened here?
Well, let me first say they certainly didn't explain it well. For those unaware, like you, that's the actor Martin Kove, who played Sensei John Kreese, or still plays Sensei John Kreese, in the Karate Kid movies and now the Cobra Kai hit Netflix TV show. So because he's a sensei on that show, and this is the kind of advice he would give as a sensei, he delivers very similar lines in real life to women's wrestlers when he's advising them on their future prospects. Did I lose you?
Is he from Pittsburgh?
Not that I recall, but I really don't know where the hell he's from. He's an actor.
Then how the fuck did Britt Baker run across him where that she is able to go to him and ask for advice?
Well, she's just lucky he was standing by to give that advice.
He's standing right next to him. He was 5 feet away. They brought him with them. What was everybody supposed to know who this fucking guy was?
Yes.
What do you think the actual percentage of people in the United States of America today that do know who this fucking guy is?
I think it's pretty high.
So this
he was also in commercials. He was also like starring in a whole bunch of commercials.
For what?
For what was it?
Yeah. On the tip of your tongue.
Because it was a play on his catchphrase.
So
Instead
memorable.
Of no mercy, it was mercy. What was it? God damn it. I don't know. I don't remember what the commercial was.
So this guy, he's as big a movie star as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
No, I didn't say that.
He's as recognizable as any famous movie star or celebrity, Paris Hilton, anybody like that. Everybody knows who this guy is.
No, he's above Jason Hervey, but below The Rock.
Okay, then the average fucking American probably wouldn't on sight be able to tell you this guy's fucking name, social security number, address.
Anyone who has seen The Karate Kid knows who that is right away. And again, Cobra Kai right now, I know you don't watch it, but for kids especially, although I like it too, it's a hit show. It's a big deal. So,
well, how many kids are watching AEW wrestling?
I'm not sure.
Mentally, they're children, yes, but
you just happen to fall in the very small lane of people who never watched Karate Kid and don't give a shit about Cobra Kai at all. But I think to a lot of people.
And that's a small group.
But even if you know who he is, why
what
is he
are the ratings for this show? There's 350 million people in the country. What's the rating? How many people a week watch this fucking Cobra Kai program?
I have to look it up. It's on Netflix, so the ratings would be, I don't even know if they have ratings or how they would track them.
5 million people a week?
Let's see. How many people watch Cobra Kai? No relation to Dakota Kai.
Put that in your Google.
Audience, hold on, here we go. I have an article here. Cobra Kai high kick to the top of Netflix's most watched TV shows list with its season 4 debut in just the first 3 days after its New Year's Eve launch, excuse me.
Yeah.
The 4th season came in at number 1 on Netflix's worldwide top 10 English TV shows for December 27th to January 2nd, with audiences spending...
Ain't hearing no numbers.
With audiences spending an impressive 120 million hours watching the show.
No. Whoa, no. That could be 1 or 2 people with a lot of time on their hands. How many individual people watch each individual program?
It only tells you the hours viewed. It doesn't give you actual viewers.
Sure, then we know all kinds of tricks like that. We had 125 million minutes on YouTube last month.
But this is 120 million.
Is it possible that 10 million people a week watch this program?
Worldwide? Yes.
No, just in the United States of America. TBS is not on in Swaziland.
No. And quite frankly, I don't even know. Netflix may have more viewers than TBS. That's something to look at.
The point is, you said that a lot of people in this country watch this program, and a lot of people would know who he is. If 10 million people watch this program in the United States every week, that means 1 out of every 35 people know who this gray-haired fucking dipshit is.
Was he that gray-haired? I thought he dyed his hair.
Yeah, he gray and curly is what I saw.
Well, curly, yes. No, he's if you know Karate Kid, he's a star.
All right. Well, point is, it could have been Britt Baker's father. We didn't fucking know because they didn't bother to tell us, did they? He just wandered in with no identification whatsoever, no chyron, no graphic, no how do you do, no fare thee well.
He just happened to be backstage.
Just happened to be there. So then we go to the ring. And Tony Schiavone was in the ring with Adam Page, who is looking more and more like he's just scared shitless of the spot he's been put in, because there's no oomph. They don't give him any oomph. He comes down. Tony Schiavone asks him a question about last week's match. He says 2 words, and Adam Cole interrupts and talks his way down the ramp. And they stood there. Tony fucked off again, Schiavone, and they stood there, 2 guys doing a sports entertainment confrontation. You couldn't feel it because they didn't feel it. And Adam Cole comes in. He can talk his ass off, but he just came into the company, had a program with job guys, lost an obviously fake match to the company mascot, and now is in the ring challenging the world champion. And the world champion is the guy who basically everybody at this point has caught on to, was made the world champion because that's a decision Tony made 2 years ago and didn't change it, even though shit changed. And so now they're trying to sell the people a world champion that doesn't obviously look like he even believes he's supposed to be the world champion and has got no opportunity to show personality and has just been sequestered with subpar talent for his entire run. And again, I go back, they showed it on Twitter the other day. Adam Cole, the guy that's challenging this world champion, was beaten by the mascot with a fake hug on national television. Not even a hug, but a fake hug that he obviously was not trying to get out of. And there are people out there, the apologists, who are saying, oh, but it didn't count. It was a lights out match, so he really didn't lose. It didn't count on his record. You fucking morons. Sputnik Monroe didn't really get knocked out by that goddamn cowboy at the Mid-South Fair. He slipped in cow shit, and the guy sucker punched him. But on the front page headlines, he still had a big black eye. So anyway, Page kept acting like he wanted to fight Cole, and Cole says they will fight one day man to man, but it won't be today, and they shake hands, and Cole leaves, and then O'Reilly and Fish jump Page from behind, and Cole comes back and joins in. And now they've got security, Brian. Did you see that? They have a security force. A bunch of wrestling school students in a bunch of black shirts and pants came out to break up a fight. Imagine that. What a revolutionary concept. Of course, they couldn't let that go. They did something good, something positive, so they've got to put the fucking stake in that heart. Security runs in. Well, the Dork Order runs in to help Page. And one of the masked job guys in the Dork Order, they call him 10, right? Because he's got 10 in Sharpie on his chest. After the heels leave, the masked Dork Order jobber guy 10 beats up all the security guys in phony preset spots.
It was so funny. That was the funniest thing on the show.
Fake. And they would, one at a time, they'd run at him. Oh, it's my turn. Oh, shit. And they'd run at him and he'd give them a shitty bump because I don't know if this guy's ever worked before anywhere or not. And it took all the heat off the angle. You had a formerly top heel group that now has been relegated to playing with the underneath talent, jump on the world champion, but more job guys come out and save the world champion, and then the champion doesn't get to do anything physical. One of the job guys gets to beat up all the security guards and look phony doing it. Do you remember when Kai and Tai saved Steve Austin's ass and then Taka Michinoku or Dick Togo beat everybody up? And Austin stood there and watched and thanked him for coming in and helping him?
That was when he was feuding with the Oddities, I believe, yes.
Yes, that big well-known program. I'm astonished. This is the most... now we have to start calling Adam Page the most feckless world champion in history. I love that word, feckless. Look it up, kids. So then was Jericho and Hager and their chance to make Santana and Ortiz a top tag team. Brian, did you love this tag team match?
It was something.
Kingston came out, got in Santana and Ortiz's corner.
Let me stop you right there. Really, to me, one of the big stories in the match, how about that pop Eddie Kingston got?
Yes. Well, because they want Santana and Ortiz to be aligned with Kingston because the fans see them as kindred spirits and friends, and they see Santana and Ortiz as flunkies in Jericho's group. Now, the thing, Jericho is actually still trying to put this whole thing together like he's the babyface. But am I alone here in thinking that everybody wanted Santana and Ortiz to beat Jericho and Hager and break up out of the dinner circle?
I agree with you. I think that's 100% right.
Okay, well, that's not what Jericho's got in his mind, apparently. But of course, I'm sure he's telling all the inexperienced non-veterans, completely opposite, but anybody with half a mind knows what's going on here. Jericho and Santana started out, it wasn't smooth. Jericho trying to keep his pleather pants up, but he put them over, both Santana and Ortiz at the start. They kicked some shit out of Jericho. Hager gets in. He looks in great shape. His work is the complete shits. He can do a couple of big moves like that Vader bomb out of the corner and looks like he's coordinated, and everything else is just rotten. But then as soon as Hager gets in, he does some shitty stuff, and then they go to the break. When they come back, they're getting heat on Ortiz. Okay. I thought at that point that maybe Jericho had realized they're going to be the heels, Santana and Ortiz the baby faces. We're going to treat it as such. Simultaneous tags, which of course is always the shits, but Ortiz tagged Santana at the same time as the heels tag, or Jericho and Hager tagged each other, whichever the heels are. And Santana makes a comeback. Hager took one bump because it was all about Santana having to hit the bigger guy and take his leg here and hit that and bing, bing, bing and chop him down. Hager is not a good enough worker to wobble and weeble and fall and stagger and not have it look contrived, and all this chopping the fucking guy down. If Santana's bad enough to survive on the streets of New York City, if he comes in and throws 2 or 3 rights and rocks that motherfucker and then hits the ropes and comes off with a clothesline or a goddamn drop kick or something, Hager ought to be able to take a bump for him. And then Santana bumped Jericho, and Hager turned around, picked him up, and slammed him, and took right back over. And I wrote then, is it going to help Santana and Ortiz to get over to beat a part-time team? One guy in his 50s and the other guy's the shits. Wouldn't it do more for Santana and Ortiz to beat the Acclaimed? Because then they're beating another tag team and they get a nice win without this falderall from Jericho's prima donna attitude. The finish, what should have been the finish, was great. There was a great spot in here. Jericho goes for the lion salt. Ortiz grabs him and holds him on the ropes, and Santana runs up behind him and does a Russian leg sweep off the ropes. 2 count. That would have been a great finish. Santana and Ortiz hit their finish on Jericho. 2 count. He kicks out on his own. Santana cannonballs Jericho. Jericho catches him in a lion tamer. Finally, Jericho knocks Kingston off the apron, goes for the Judas on Santana. Santana ducks it, and Ortiz outside on the apron nails Jericho, and it knocks him back towards Santana, who hits a clothesline. Boom, cover 1, 2, 3. The baby faces double team heel fucked the heel to beat him. And after they did that, 1, 2, 3, Jericho looks over and sees Kingston outside on the floor, gets right up, rolls out on the floor, and gets in a fight with Kingston. So Santana and Ortiz beat this guy, and he sold it for literally 7 seconds tops. And then jumps up and gets in a fight with the other guy out on the floor, and everybody starts trying to pull them apart. How did this assist Santana and Ortiz?
Oh, I don't know. Is that a hypothetical question?
No.
Oh.
Not hypothetical or rhetorical. That was a question. What the fuck good did this business do for Santana and Ortiz?
The only good I could say is if this really does mean they'll separate the inner circle and they'll go off with Eddie Kingston and do something else, perhaps focus on the tag team division, that to get there, it's not that they just left the inner circle. They actually beat Jericho and now they're going to move on, but it's never that simple. It's never that simple.
They had a bad tag team match. They're baby faces and had to team up both of them to beat one fucking heel, and it was a bad match.
Come on, you know Jericho put it over to them that it was a great job.
So anyway, that was that match. And then in the back, the Hardley Boys, Fish, O'Reilly, and Cole are all standing there talking with their own cameraman because Cutlet is the cameraman. And they're saying, where were you guys when we were out there kicking the shit out of these other guys? And there was more bickering. And it's like the kids from South Park standing on the street corner waiting for the bus. They're just, you hear the voices and you see them. It's just, this is Nickelodeon wrestling. And now Adam Cole is torn between his friends. Is he going to go with Fish and O'Reilly? Is he going to go with the Hardley Boys? Torn between two lovers, feeling like a fool. Loving both of you is breaking all the rules. Torn between two lovers. Neither team can work. Anyway, then we come to the female match that I would have watched if it hadn't been gimmicked up to the point of you couldn't recognize it. Thunder Rosa against Mercedes Martinez, no disqualification, Brian. And I thought, fine, as I mentioned before earlier, finally two girls that can work, so they have a garbage match set up between the two of them. They started the match on the floor at the entryway with a chair and a lead pipe. And within 30 seconds of this thing, they had pulled a table and two more chairs out from under the ring. A girls' match. So I start fast forwarding because why? They went out in the arena. They got more chairs. They got a garbage can. I stopped and watched this. They leaned a table up onto the ring from the floor to the apron. And then Mercedes tried to suplex Thunder Rosa on the table, but since it was lean slanting, it didn't break. They both just slid down like a kid's slide at the playground. Apparently in this thing, they did an angle afterwards after whoever won. There was some kind of finish where now the heels, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter and Reba, turned on Mercedes Martinez and beat her up too. And in the process, did you see them expose the lead pipe, Brian?
No, I missed that.
The lead pipe?
I missed that. What happened?
Okay, you saw the lead pipe in use, right?
Yeah, and I saw it early in the match, like you mentioned before.
Somewhere around 2.5 feet long, right? About approximately that length. Probably about 3 inches diameter across, right? You, I'm sure, have picked up a few lead pipes in the past. You're a grown adult man.
Well, I may know a few people who have. I won't confirm or deny if I have.
Okay, but I mean, just even using them in the manner in which God intended they be used for plumbing, you know what a lead pipe 2.5 feet long and about 2 or 3 inches around is going to weigh what? Somewhere in the neighborhood of 40, 50 pounds. Right? Look it up if you don't believe me. The point is, Jamie hated the lead pipe is laying there on the floor after they've done this angle. And Jamie Hayter leans over and picks it up with one hand and starts swinging it around like a baton. and now some idiot out there who's never touched a lead pipe or been a plumber is going, well, Jamie Hayter's an athlete and they work out and they're not weak like you. No, you fucking moron. I don't care if the world's strongest man picks up something. If it's heavy or it's light, it's going to move in a different manner. You're going to move it. There's going to be some visual straining. It was like the goddamn on Lost in Space when they had the gimmick boulders made out of styrofoam. And occasionally Dr. Smith in running would run by one of the gimmick boulders and Dr. Smith would bump into the boulder and it would kind of rock back and forth, this 5,000-pound boulder. No, there's a phony fucking pipe, and they didn't even work with it. And then it was laying there on the ground. It would roll with the bumping of the ring. You're talking about a goddamn piece of lead. So anyway, this complete fake, phony. Did you think anything of this? Did you watch it? Could you stomach it?
I'm not a big fan of hardcore wrestling in women's matches. I'm actually curious in general, because there have been several now, how fans react to them in terms of viewership, but I'm not a big fan of these kind of matches. Mercedes just got there. I don't even know if she's had any matches, but we got to see her have this match. Not my favorite kind of match, and that's not to take away anything from Thunder Rosa or Mercedes Martinez.
So then we had a promo from the ever-popular Jay White. Did you see Jay White's promo?
I did.
I guess he's English, from across the pond. He's got an accent.
There's an accent.
He claims to be the head of the Bullet Club. Who is the head of this fucking thing? You said earlier Finn Balor started the thing. I thought the Harley Boys were running that thing for a while. Jay White says he's the head of the Bullet Club. Has there ever been... I mean, the NWO actually really was fucking overstrong. But has there ever been a faction, as they like to use that word, in wrestling that had a bigger bunch of jackoffs in it than the Bullet Club and more people in it in general than the Bullet Club, and that the Bullet Club in the United States of America has never drawn 15 cents in Chinese fucking money, and the average person on the street would go, what the fuck are you even talking about?
I've always thought the Bullet Club was lame, going back to their very early days as a wannabe NWO / the Clique kind
whatever.
of thing. Just garbage.
So Jay White is wrestling Trent on Friday night. So, oh joy, okay, this guy's supposed to be a big star. He makes a debut by wandering in on a backstage pre-tape, and now he's working with job guys on the Friday night throwaway show. This guy's a big star, I'm told. Hello. And we go to the main event of the evening. This match might still be going on, as far as I know, because I, again, didn't make it all the way to the end. For the TV title, Darby Allin against Sammy Guevara. Another babyface versus babyface match for no good reason. So therefore, nothing important will be accomplished here, but the crowd will be lively since they like both guys and they're pulling for their favorite, which of course means that by design, the brain trust in charge of this fiasco has basically set it up so that half the people in the crowd will be cheering against one of your top baby faces. That's good psychology. Let's see if we can get as many people to cheer against and root against our baby faces as possible. That way our heels could be more popular. What the fuck? But both these guys can work some, and it would be a good match if any of them, either one of them, had any restraint. But they don't. And the total weight of both of these competitors doesn't top 330 pounds. I myself, just me alone, I have weighed in my lifetime 50 pounds less myself than both these guys together weigh right now. But yet you can't hurt either one of these motherfuckers by running over them with a truck. These are the phoniest matches. Sammy Guevara gave Darby Allin some kind of bump on the top turnbuckle. Did you see that early in the match?
Yeah.
Where he bounced off the buckle straight to the floor. What a count-out angle. Every booker in the history of wrestling would have loved to be able to find somebody that could take that bump, because there's a fucking count-out angle and call a fucking ambulance. And when Darby Allin comes back in 3 or 4 weeks, that's going to be a hot match. He's going to get even. But he took the bump and he was back in the ring working in less than 15 seconds. 2 baby faces, but they're doing moves to try to hospitalize each other, even though neither one has cheated or fucked the other one around or stabbed him in the back. They're not wrestling. They're trying to end the other guy's career with these ridiculous moves. So that doesn't make any sense. Sammy Guevara gave Darby Allin a backflip flying power slam off the top rope and got a 2 count. And then they started working a figure 4 leg lock. And then this was potentially one of the smoothest things I've ever seen. It had split-second timing. It was perfect in every way, including both guys landing as safely as you could possibly land in this situation. Sammy's on the floor. Darby goes for a fucking dive between the second and third rope. Goes for the dive, and Sammy catches him out there with a cutter straight to the fucking floor face first. Perfect. They couldn't have taken it any better. It looked like $1 million. What happened? Sammy didn't immediately pick him up and throw him in the ring to try to win. Sammy didn't roll back in the ring and let Darby get counted out so he would win. Sammy picks Darby up and puts him on the apron of the ring where nobody can win, climbs to the top rope, and flips off the top with a flying cannonball senton, whatever, onto Darby on the apron. But Darby moves and Sammy hits as hard as he fucking possibly can on the apron and bounces off for real onto the floor. And Darby Allin is now back on his feet, throwing Sammy Guevara back in the ring. He just took the fucking flying cutter onto a fucking hard floor face first from a dive out of the ring. He laid there for 10 seconds. Sammy doesn't try to win the match, puts the dead body of his opponent on the apron so that he can risk his own life to do something to this guy that will neither win him the match nor gain him any satisfaction, since Darby Allin has not in any way stabbed him in the back, cheated him, lied to him, or committed a blood feud offense against him. Sammy just wants to risk his own life and safety and potentially hospitalize and maim the other guy just to have a good sporting wrestling match. None of this makes a lick of sense. So anyway, first, Darby could have been counted out or beaten. Sammy didn't do either. Sammy tries to do something else, misses, nearly kills himself for real. Darby Allin is 100% healthy and throws Sammy back in, and the match continues. As the match continues, Sting, who's at ringside watching all this shit, and Andre Olio and Jose get in a fight on the floor, and Sammy and Darby are continuing the match, and I said, fuck it, I'm done. There was 3 minutes left. I don't care. This was abominable. And I quit right there, and I'm done. What'd I miss?
You missed Sammy won. Andrade was involved.
What did he use, a bazooka or a flamethrower?
That's a good question. I turned away from the screen, so I missed it, but... No, you're right, and the cutter spot looked incredible. And when he not missed, but when Darby moved and he hit the apron, I mean, any apron bump makes me cringe, but that one especially. It's like, yes! Oh my God! But, Sammy's matches, that's the one big detriment always. It's just always big move, big move, big move, lots of high up flips to the floor and crashing through shit. Everyone kicks out of everything.
And, here's the sad thing about it.
It's more of a Sammy issue, I think, than a Darby issue, actually, but I think of their matches previously.
No, Sammy always goes too far. Darby has had good matches. Logical matches, sensible matches. Sammy can work, Sammy can talk, Sammy can't fucking restrain himself. Sammy will be paralyzed before too long, and Sammy will not have a long career as a result of it. But it's so sad, and I will leave us with this. It's been a long show. In years gone by, every booker in every territory, if there had been guys that would willingly take the bumps that these guys take on TV every week, not only would they do it, they would be willing to do it, but they could do it without hurting themselves. They would have all been in demand because bookers from other territories would have brought the guy in from Georgia that did the fucking splash off the top to the floor to the concrete for a hospitalization angle. Or they would have brought the other guy in from another territory that takes the cutter on the floor face first for a hospitalization angle. Or like when there was a guy in the Northeast, a job guy back in the 60s, that could legitimately separate his own shoulder, take it out of the socket on purpose, and put it back in. And what happened? George the Animal Steel found out about him, George the Animal Steel was using the chicken wing in Detroit as his finish, and they brought the fucking guy to Detroit TV, and George Steele used the chicken wing and popped the guy's shoulder out on TV. And everybody, oh, God. And that was probably the most money in one night that guy ever made in wrestling, because that was his talent. So some of these guys would have been in demand because nobody in the business would willingly, or even if they were asked to, take these bumps. Everybody would have shot that down. Said, fuck you, I quit. But if they'd have had guys that could take these bumps, they could have brought them in and used them to do jobs for these other people and made those other people big fucking stars, because look at the damage they did to these fucking idiots. So they would have had a place in the wrestling business. But now all they're doing is making it harder for everybody else that has any talent and wants to do it right, because they're conditioning the people that nothing hurts anyone. It's all fake. Take nothing seriously. Don't wince. Don't worry. They're going to get right back up. And even though it really is dangerous and it really is painful, instead of, my God, this is the exact opposite of the idea of working. Instead of taking something that looks dangerous and making it safer for the participants, they go the other direction. And they make people believe that even the really dangerous shit ain't going to hurt anybody. So they devalue the wrestling business every time they get in the ring and do this shit. That's my thoughts.
Well, that was AEW Dynamite.